Okay, so I actually wasn't done talking. I just ran out of storage on my phone and ran out of ambition in my life. So, Bad Habit, the song. I didn't get into everything that I wanted to talk about in the song, and I realized that I have a lot of thoughts on the song, so I wanted to make a second video. I really wanted to just go through all the lyrics and talk about them because they all have deeper meanings, I would say, and so I just wanted to make a quick little video and tell you everything because I love hyperanalyzing media in general, and I think it's fun to make media that has a lot of deeper meaning, and I want to talk about it because it's my creation. So let's dive in, shall we? I'm gonna pull up my lyrics on my iPad here. The structure of the song is very intentional, and I want to talk about it. So, obviously, we have Remus singing first, and he sings not very much. So when I wrote the tune, so I wrote his part first, then I was like, oh, I should put like a little pause here. And then when I got to Tonks, I was like, I have more to say from her perspective. I want to add more. So I added another, like a second half. What I'm trying to say is the verse length is the same, but Tonks sings so much more than Remus does because Remus has like, he sings, it's wrong for a man to think the things I'm thinking right now. And then there's a pause. Da, 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 da. It's wrong. And then Tonks sings right through the pause. She doesn't pause. She just keeps going. Couple things. First of all, if we zoom out just a little and we talk about men are very simple in their thoughts, they can sit there and think about nothing and it doesn't bother them and they can just, this is this and that's just the way that it is and they just move on. Versus women tend to overthink, overanalyze. Oh, he said, hey, but was it like a hey or was it like a hey? You know, like that kind of thing, you know. And so Remus's part being very simple, very short, and much, lots of less words is what I'm trying to say. Less words. And then Tonks just yaps. Her mind is going a million miles a minute. So that's like general men and women, how they think. But also, thinking about these characters specifically, it says in the book that Tonks asks personal questions and she's got this like constant like thought process going on in her head and she's not afraid to mention it to other people. And she's like, hey, did you know? Or like, have you ever thought about? Or like, whatever. So she's thinking things that other people don't always think about. Probably why she makes such a great orator. And she's like, oh, you know, nobody else is going to say this, but I'm going to say it, which I kind of relate to that in a little bit because I'm not afraid to speak up. I'm going to dive right in. We're going to analyze every line of text here. So for Remus, it's pretty self-explanatory because, again, he's a man. So very simple A to B thoughts. It's wrong for a man to think the things I'm thinking right now. Certain individuals may think that these lyrics are extremely dirty. They can be, but they're not necessarily. To me, he is thinking extremely wholesome thoughts. He's like, oh, wow, like, I wonder what it would be like to hold her hand. Like cinnamon roll vibes. Like, man, I wish I could take her out on a date. Those kinds of thoughts is what I'm thinking. And he's saying it's wrong because for him, he's like, well, I can't do this. So that's why he's like, oh, it's wrong because he's trained his mind for so long that love and romance and all this stuff is just not for him. He can never have it. So that's why he's like, oh, it's wrong for me to think this, which is really sad. It makes me sad. And then it's wrong for a man to feel the things I'm feeling right now. Like, so in my mind, in the staging, they're like sitting right next to each other. And when you have a crush on somebody and you're like sitting right next to them, like your hairs are like sticking out and you can like feel how close you are and you're like, oh my goodness. Like that's what I'm envisioning in that moment. And then, but I do it anyway. It's just a bad habit. So what we know about Remus, we don't know much. He's a very, very private person. He doesn't really talk that much. He's very quiet. He's very good and just chill. And so there is nobody that is perfect. It's impossible to be perfect. And everybody has like a little secret, right? In my mind, his bad habits are like thinking bad things about people sometimes. Something that he would never say, but he thinks it. He's like, oh, I shouldn't think that. Like that. Or in this case, imagining what it might be like to be in a relationship. Bad habit. So like he's walking down the street and he sees a pretty girl and he's like, ooh. And then he's like, oh, no, bad habit. Later in the song, we see in a lot of fan fiction that he like drinks or smokes or whatever. And I don't necessarily dislike that. I mean, most adults do at some point anyways. That's pretty common. Plus with somebody that deals with like chronic pain and stuff, I would imagine he probably would do these things. And those are like, as Tonks says, they're victimless bad habits. So like the only bad habits that he's willing to indulge in for real are ones that only affect him, is what I'm thinking. Next, we have Tonks. How do they expect me to focus? So in my mind, Tonks is, like I mentioned earlier, her mind goes at 1,000,000 miles a minute. And so I really love the idea of like one person's strength is another's weakness when they're in a relationship together. So in my mind, Remus is a very paperwork oriented kind of person. Like he'll sit down and read a book. He's a good teacher. And I'm not saying that good teachers have to be good with paperwork, but I feel like a lot of them are. And like they like writing down their thoughts. They like studying, like very study oriented person. Thinker before doing. Tonks is a doer first and then think about it later kind of person. So she's like, I'm gonna jump right in. Like, let's go. Like, what are we doing? Just sitting around reading like stuff. Like, let's go do stuff. So she's a very like impulsive, very like quick to action, slow to think kind of girl. And so she's sitting there and she's like, oh my gosh, we're just reading reports. This is so boring. I want to go fight. I want to go do something productive. Because in her mind, she's like, this is not productive. This is boring. How do they expect me to focus? I was never any good at paperwork anyway. It's not that she's like bad at it. She's just like, I would much rather do so many other things than this. And he's over there studying his hands or something stupid like that. So again, I'm picturing she's sitting there. Ugh, this is so boring. And then she looks over to try to like catch his eye and be like, this is so boring. Are you bored? I'm bored. And he's over there like. So then we have, like I mentioned before, she's known in canon to be like very intrusive with her wondering and like asking way too many personal questions. So she's sitting here and she's like, is it wrong to wonder what's under his hard external shell? Like, can I crack open this very quiet man and see what's inside? Like, she's so curious. She's like, he's so quiet. I want to know what he's thinking. And so, of course, her first thing, because she knows she's cute and she knows she's attractive, she turns a lot of heads, you know, and she's like, would I find dirty thoughts about me in his mind? Well, he's kind of cute, so that'd be kind of fun. I know he's not as innocent as he seems. What's he thinking? That's her line there. And then we've got, nah, he probably smokes weed or he drinks. Victimless bad habits. We talked about that earlier. I did add that line kind of as a ode to all the people that write him as that because it's just fun. Next, we've got Remus again. He's singing, it's wrong for a man to let his mind get the best of him. So he's like trying so hard not to think about her and he can't stop thinking about her. And he's like, oh my gosh, why am I letting my mind take over? Like, this is ridiculous. Keep your head in the game. You're being stupid. Like, those are the thoughts he's thinking. And then he's like, well, I suppose that's a moon's job, isn't it? So that line means every month my mind gets the best of me. That's the moon's job. I don't know. This line is very abstract, I feel like, but if I had to explain it, I would say he should be used to letting, or like having thoughts in his brain that he doesn't want, and he deals with those okay. So like he can deal with it, basically, is what he's saying. I can deal with it. It's fine, everything's fine. And then we've got probably the spiciest line that he's ever gonna say, in the song at least. It's wrong every time I close my eyes to sleep at night. I wonder how it'd feel just once to sin. And again, people are probably like, oh, that's so dirty. I didn't write it specifically to be, again, up to the audience's discretion. If that's what you want to think, that's what you want to think. However, I wrote it as, to him, how it'd feel to sin is literally being in a relationship and loving somebody, maybe even getting married. And so he has convinced himself so much that being in a relationship is so bad that it's sinning to him. And he's like, this is the worst thing that I could possibly do, but I wonder what it'd be like. So that's what that line means. And then, I shouldn't think of her that way, it's just a bad habit. So like, oh, no, I can't be with her. Don't think about that. No, don't think about it. Oh, it's just a bad habit. We talked about that earlier. And then, nobody has to know, it's just a bad habit. So that's, like I mentioned before, he's a very quiet person. He doesn't really speak his thoughts very often. And he kind of is prideful in that. He's like, I do a really great job at keeping my thoughts to myself, and nobody knows this dark side of me. The dark side literally being like caring for people. It's how twisted his mind is at this point. He's convinced himself he's not worthy of love. And so he's like, nope, no one has to know. Nobody has to know what I'm thinking right now. No, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm just good old bachelor man over here, friendly neighborhood werewolf. This line I thought was really, really fun. So, just like a little smoke, a simple bad habit. Just a little rum and coke, a simple bad habit. Those lines, again, the ode to the smoking and the drinking and all that. But I just wanted to point out, if you haven't listened to Haunted House, I wrote that after I wrote Bad Habit. And I wrote the line just like a rum and coke. And it made sense in my mind what that means. But obviously, a normal person doesn't read my mind. So I wanted to explain it a little better. So this is the explanation of rum and coke in my mind. Coke is a very innocent drink, okay? It's soda, like kids drink it. It's just like a fun little drink that, you drink and whatever. Rum is used in, well, I don't really know, but in my mind, obviously the most famous example of rum being used is Pirates of the Caribbean. Jack Sparrow being obsessed with rum all the time, like, where's the rum? Why is the rum gone? It's his weakness, you could say. Drunkenness, not being on top of things. So you put them together, and it looks just like a glass of Coke. When you do a rum and coke, it looks like just Coke, right? So he could even be drinking rum and coke and nobody even knows. They think he's just drinking Coke. So there's that. And then, so you're taking something bad. I'm not saying that drinking is bad. I'm just saying, in this example, you're taking something bad, you're disguising it as something innocent, and your hand could just slip and, oh, my glass is now half rum. Now I'm going to get wasted. The reasoning for all of that is, it's just easy to get carried away. The analogy of rum and coke in this particular musical is taking something bad and disguising it as innocent. And so in Haunted House, I need to explain a little bit better what I mean by rum and coke, because so I invented a line. I think I'm really funny. So it goes, how does it go? We'll have some rum and coke with a little more rum and a little less coke and a little more rum until it's just rum, and then we'll have some fun, drink and dance till we choke, because our lives are a joke. That's Haunted House. So I added that because I was like, I need to explain a little bit more what I mean by rum and coke, because in Haunted House, they're like, oh, we're just going to do this innocent little thing. Gets wasted. So in the same sense, he's saying just like a little rum and coke. So, I'm just innocently looking at Tonks because she's talking, but actually I'm thinking other things. That's what I mean by that. And again, being in a relationship is not bad. He just thinks it is because he's Remus. Okay, my next line. I'm not going to break this down super crazily because I already did in my previous video about this song. Just to go over it very briefly, Tonks says, how do they expect me to focus? Apparently the mortality rate is like suicide, meaning like, oh my gosh, I could literally die tomorrow. I'm over here wondering if I'll live long enough to see my future. Like, okay, so if it's really this dire, and like obviously it's Mad Eye Moody, he always thinks he's gonna die. But still, like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to get what I want eventually, which is, you know, having a family eventually one day? Am I going to see my future? I don't know, because I might die tomorrow. And we've got, is it wrong to wonder, will he ever love and fight for me? Obviously, at this point, he's kind of caught her eye, and she's like, is it wrong to wonder, like, will we ever be in a relationship? That would be really cool. Is that going to happen? I don't know. And then, will he ever take me into his arms and make it all worth it? I really love that line because at the end of the day, I feel like what she really just wants is love. And she knows, I mean, really deep down, she wants like a husband and a provider. But in the meantime, she's like, you know what? I would be fine with just a little cuddle. I would be fine with a fling. Like, as long as I have just a little taste, that's all that I want. She thinks that's all she wants, but, you know, once you get it, then you want more and more and more. Just imagining, like, will he take me into his arms and make it all worth it? It's, like, very poetic, very, like, I'm just a girl in love with a boy. I just want some love. It's a very cute line. I like it. It's, like, one of the few lines that actually survived when I rewrote everything. And then this line is different. So from the previous video, it was a different line. I rewrote it to be Tonks, please get a grip. It's just a bad habit, partially because it rhymes with habit, kind of. And then also, I didn't love whatever I had before. I don't even remember what it was. But anyways. And then, of course, you saw me write the next set of lyrics, which is, I don't know what he thinks of me. I could be his best friend's younger cousin, some wannabe. I could see him not trusting me because of his insecurity. So that line changed. It used to be because of my authority, and I was like, I don't like that. What I was trying to say is, he doesn't trust me because I'm an Auror, and in the past, his experience with them has literally been, like, fighting because, like, they don't trust him because he's a werewolf, and he doesn't trust them because they just assume that he's bad just because of that. And so she's like, oh my gosh, like, he's had terrible experiences with Aurors in the past. He probably doesn't even trust me, is what that line is. But I didn't love the word authority because, like, it wasn't right. And so I was literally just like going about my daily business as one does, and I came up with a new line because of his insecurity. It means the same thing, but it's better because this is what I mean by women overthinking. So she's like, I know that my people are always mean to him, so he's probably thinking that I don't like him because they don't like him, and he's probably kind of insecure about that, and he probably thinks that I'm just like everybody else, and he probably thinks that, you know, I don't trust him and he doesn't trust me because I don't trust him, but really we both trust each other, and let's just talk about it. That's what I'm going with for that. I don't want to scare him. Again, like, I don't want to be like, here I am, and knowing that he's probably like, maybe not. And she's also like, I also don't want to blow this. This is my one chance for romance at this particular moment in my life. Not really, but like, she really likes him, so I don't want to scare him, even though I dare him to be. She's like, hey, you know what? He's gotta do it. You know, I dare him. I dare him. I dare you. I dare you. I babysit this 8-year-old boy, and when he really wants me to do something that he knows that he shouldn't do, he'll tell me that he dares me. He's like, I dare you. I dare you to let me watch TV. I dare you. I dare you. You're a coward if you don't let me do this. And I'm like, Yeah, it doesn't work on me. But I think that might be what that line comes from, now that I think about it. That's really funny. In my mind, bad habit to her, so we talked about Remus's bad habits, right? Her bad habits is that she bites off way more than she can chew, in general. Being an Auror at such a young age is probably a little more than she can handle, let's be real. And like all these other things, she's such a go-getter, as we talked about. And so for her, her bad habit is jumping in too fast, too quickly, without thinking it through. And she's like, you know what? I like this guy, so let's date, without thinking it through necessarily. And clearly she didn't think it through. Well, I don't know if that's clear, but I imagine being in a relationship with Remus would be very difficult, since he is so insecure. He's so hard on himself, and he's so convinced that he's unworthy of love. Being with somebody that you have to convince every single day that you really truly do love him, that sounds exhausting. And I don't think she really realized what that would be. But again, bad habit, I'm just going to jump in anyways. I'm just going to try it and see what happens. Another bad habit is deciding that she likes men and like just like having a fling, or like, you know, like casual dating, whatever. And she gets hurt a lot. So that would be another bad habit. She's like, oh, he's going to be my bad habit, as in like my fling that I really didn't think through and probably should have, and now I'm getting hurt. And guess what? She does get hurt, but it all works out in the end. It might be a fling, but could lead to something. Or it is a fling. I don't know. I haven't quite exactly worded that correctly. They both sing that. So they're both thinking. This is the part that I think is super fun. So this is like when two people just won't talk, and it's just miscommunication. Okay, so this is what I'm picturing. All right, ready? Remus is over here, and he's like, I really like this girl, and I really want to be with her, but she doesn't want to be with me. There's no way she wants to be with me for real. No, I'll just tell her. It'll just be a little fling, and then maybe she'll actually accept me because she knows she doesn't have to be with me forever. Meanwhile, Tonks is over here like, man, I really like this guy. I want to be with him forever. But he's scared of long-term relationships and all that jazz. So, I know, I'll just tell him, it'll just be a little fling. It's just a little fling, nothing serious, just a little fling. And then maybe it'll work out. And so they're literally both thinking that the other one doesn't want to be in a real relationship with each other, when in actuality, they both actually like each other. And so they're over here like, oh, well, we'll just say it's casual, and it's really not. But they have to discover that through communication. Hopefully they communicate about it, and realizing that they actually really, really like each other, like for realsies. And so yes, that is that line. It is also a fun line because it is a repeat line. Well, later it is repeated, I guess. It's not a repeat line because we haven't heard it yet. You haven't heard it yet. I've heard it yet because I wrote it. Obviously, okay, so much later in the story, they are together, and I don't think I've explicitly discussed this, but throughout the show, there are these voices in the head. I got the idea from, there's quite a few different musicals out there that has like a voice in the head, and I think it's such a fun thing. Like, my best example would be the Fates in Hades Town, how they're just always like singing like what the characters are thinking. I think it's very, very fun. The reasoning why I had to add it is because I'm sitting over here writing Act 2 where Remus repeatedly runs away from Tonks, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the audience is gonna hate him. He seems like such a terrible person, and everybody's gonna be sitting here like, why the heck do we care about him? I don't want people to feel like they don't like him. Obviously, he's a protagonist. He needs to be liked. Because I know what's going on in his head, but to me, he's like a very insecure and anxious kind of guy. Like you see in Prisoner of Azkaban, he like goes to put his hand on Harry's shoulder, and then he like withdraws really quick. To me, that's him being like, no, but nobody wants to touch me. Nobody likes me. Like, keep your hands to yourself. And so I wanted to add that vocally, but I didn't want him to be singing it. And so I added the voices in the head, which I thought would be really fun if it was the portraits in the various locations. So we first see them in Hogwarts. When he's teaching, he's got all the portraits coming at him like, "You're a terrible person. How dare you teach these children?" Like all this stuff, like, and then they're drowned out by the voices of the children singing, "Oh my gosh, you're teaching me so much. I love this so much." And it's kind of like a back and forth thing. They show up again in Grimmauld Place singing to Sirius, telling him that he's a terrible person and whatever. We talk about that in the analysis video about Haunted House. I discuss that more, but in this particular instance, okay, so it's much later, like I said, this is post Sirius dying, and they are together, and the whole time there's all these voices in his head saying, like, I want to do this justice, so let me find it really quick. Oh my goodness, my libretto is so freaking long. So they're like together, right? And then the voices sing, "How do you expect her to love you? She knows you're just using her. It's just a fling. To her, you mean nothing." And so I took those words, "It's just a fling. To her, you mean nothing," and put it into these. So innocently, in the first Bad Habit, they're like, "Oh, it's just a fling, but it could lead to something." And then later, the voices are like, "She actually doesn't like you. It's just, you're just a fling to her. You mean nothing to her." Anyways, as far as Bad Habit Part 1, currently it just ends with them singing Bad Habit a bunch of times. And I picture them like going on a mission together and then like looking at each other. You know how like in musicals when they're singing and then they like slowly get closer and closer and they're like facing each other and they're singing to each other and then they like kiss. This is like what I'm picturing, but I don't know if that's true to the characters. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that more. So Bad Habit may or may not be actually done. Dun dun. But I've added more since the first time I sat down to write the song, so that's a win, I suppose. I wrote the majority of the song in an hour and a half for anybody who cares on December 20th from 4:08 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. And then I had to do something, or how did that go? I got interrupted in some way or another, so then I just stopped writing it. And then I just didn't come back to it until the other day. And then I made the video about me completing it. And yeah, so I also recorded a demo song, which I believe I'm probably going to put before I posted this video. That's about all I had to say. Thank you for, wow, 38 minutes of raw footage right now. Like I said, I had a lot to say about this song. It is very important to me that all of the lines have a deeper meaning in this particular song. I'm not talking about like in general. Like that is the goal, yes, but I feel like this song is very, 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 very important because this is the foundation of their entire relationship. So we need to understand what they're both thinking in order for the rest of their relationship to make sense, because ultimately in Act 1 the what is it called, like the rising action, climax, fall, whatever, that is just Remus constantly having his friends die, basically. Trying to find himself into society. And then obviously we've got him teaching, which is very exciting. And then Grimmauld Place, he finally has a place and he's like friends with Sirius. Oh, I did realize that Bad Habit is technically in the first act, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But as that is happening, we've got a second curve of Remus and Tonks' relationship, because everything's kind of setting you up for that. And ultimately, I suppose it is a love story, because that's what I've chosen it to be somehow, for some reason. I don't know. I wrote the plot when I was 16 and I honestly don't know what I was thinking. I don't want to redo the whole thing because I think it could be good. It just is going to take a lot of work. I'm still working out what happens in Act 2. I do have a lot of fun ideas. Death Eater song I'm excited about. I haven't written it, but I have the ideas for it. And normally when I have an idea, then I'm taking a shower or driving or doing something else that I can't really write music, and then the idea pops into my head. That's just how it always works. So yay, stay tuned for that. I hope you're enjoying my crazy analyzing videos. I probably will never shut up, so here we go. I should just have a podcast. Yeah, because currently picture this, but you're my sister and you hear this 3 times a week. That's normally what happens. So I'm putting my thoughts out to the world because I have a lot to say and I have a lot of thoughts and I like talking and I like chit-chatting and being silly. And I hope you enjoyed. I don't know how to end this video. Okay, goodbye.